next on All Access.
Rock and roll on 3, rock and roll on me, 1, 2, 3.
Gonna run it to the right, cuts it upfield, and he waltzes into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots!
Too easy.
How do we feel about being 1-0?
Sprints across the 40, galloping outside of the 35.
You guys racked up 217 yards on the ground. How happy does that make you feel?
To go out there and put it all together, it was real special.
We do these call sheet meetings with the offensive coordinator, and it's me and Andrew, and he was gonna start. And he's going over and he's kind of getting them wrong. Bill O'Brien looks at him, his face gets bright red. He's like, Hoyer, you're playing the whole game tonight, get ready to go. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm playing.
Yeah, it is. It's the same play. If it looks familiar, it's because he probably you saw it before in 2016, a similar area on the field. Good memory, Scott.
In an eerily empty Gillette Stadium, the Patriots opened up the 2020 season with a win over Miami. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patriots All Access, presented by GEICO. I'm Steve Burton. It was so great to have football back, wasn't it? Even though we missed having fans in the stands. New England went ground and pound, rushing for 217 yards in their victory over Miami. Next up, their first road trip of the year, as they will head out west a bit early to take on an explosive Seattle Seahawks team. Much to discuss in the show, but we begin with a look back at the opening day win over the Dolphins.
And hello again, everyone. A very pleasant good afternoon, and welcome to Gillette Stadium here in Foxborough for this 2020 season opener between the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins.
Rock and roll, keep each other fresh. Let's rock and roll on 3, rock and roll on me, 1, 2, 3. Rock and roll.
Hands it off to Burkett on the read. Sprints across the 40, galloping outside of the 35 with a cut across the 30. Newton takes the snap. He's going to run it to the right, cuts it upfield, and he waltzes into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots!
Too easy.
Let's go, one. Let's go, boy. That's why he's Hey, alert pass!
Looking to the right, and he flips that ball. Intercepted by Gilmore as the receiver fell down at midfield. He runs it left sideline 40, and he angles out at the 35.
You get 3 play actions on that series now, okay? Wait, it wasn't shots, it was play actions. You get home.
Throws down the middle. Again, Edelman makes the catch, and he runs it right to the numbers at the 50. Newton fakes to him, rolls to the right. Cam's going to run it to the 10, outside to the 5. Newton to the pylon. Got it down. Patriots! Hands it off to Edmund on the end around right. He's got a lot of room outside of the 35-40. Galloping down the far sideline and eventually get out of bounds with a borderline carry along the far side of midfield by Baker. Looking downfield. He's going to roll to his left. He's going to keep it. He's going to run to the 20, and he's going to carry it outside to the sideline for a first down rush inside the 15. And again, it was Baker in pursuit. Now waits on the snap from Anderson, takes it, gives to Michelle, runs up the middle. Sonia Michelle across the goal line. Touchdown, Patriots!
We're going to get the ball back, and we're going to have to close the game out, all right? We're going to close the game out. We're ready to go. Good job, guys. Let's go, team!
with Fitzpatrick to throw to the end zone. Intercepted by J.C. Jackson. He picks it off with a throw intended for Gesicki, the tight end.
I know how.
Guys kept their poise well. See this game was getting a little bit out of hand, or could have. Did a good job of just taking care of it on the scoreboard. That's what really counts. All right. Had a lot of guys step up today. One guy in particular, getting ready to be a dad. Yes, sir.
But I need to know, how do we feel about being 1-0?
Time now for the Belichick Breakdown, brought to you by Bose. Take a look at the big plays against the Miami Dolphins for the Week 1 win, and we start with the defense. Here's Coach.
Well, this is a good run stop for us and put the Dolphins in a long yardage situation. You can see that Miami's trying to run a counter play here with a guard and fullback pulling, and the two lines here with Bentley and penetrating and Adam Butler penetrating. We're able to, Juwan's able to knock off the pullers here, and so they never really get all the way across to block Chase, and Chase comes off the edge here, makes a play in the backfield. So we had some good plays on our run defense. Didn't have any long runs against us other than the 12-yard scramble by Fitzpatrick. So if we're able to do a solid job in the running game and create some third down long yardage situations, and then it really helped us get off the field. So.
All right, moving on to offense here. And I've talked to you about players that come into the league second, third year. They make that big jump. And this is Ryan Izzo. We're going to look at this play between he and Cam Newton. They make a really nice play. I think it's your biggest pass play of the day.
Yes, and it's one that you've seen many times before with the tight end coming off the play action fake here with the halfback hitting up inside, the guard pulling, and tight end releasing. And Miami does a pretty good job here. This is Baker on the backside. This is a pretty good job of covering this route. He recognizes it and really is right there. And then Ryan does a really smart thing here as the receiver just pulls up. Cam reads it and is able to take away a play here that's really pretty well covered. All right, and uncover and pick up about 25 yards here. So really good execution by Ryan and Cam on the play. That was a big play for us.
All right, you guys did a really good job turning the football over on defense. And the next play we're going to look at, new guy you brought in, free agency, Phillips. And it was exciting watching your team have as many defensive backs as you had on the field at sometimes. And he's down in the box. And this reminded me of the old Teddy Bruschi route recognition type interception play. Why don't you describe what's happening here?
Yeah, it really, I think that's a great comparison, Scott. It's a play where it's a 2-minute drive here, and Miami's trying to run, three guys inside with a two-man route here on the backside, and so Phillips, being the kind of the inside defender here as a free player, takes away the first look right there with the tight end. And when that happens, Fitzpatrick just turns and looks outside to his, in this case, his second option. All right, and would finally go outside to his third, but he sees the outside leverage here by the defender, and Phillips is able to run past the inside player right into the passing lane, and it makes a really good play on the ball here.
They sure did. Those turnovers help you on defense, and on the offensive side of the ball, again, this is that run by Cam around that right end. This reminds me of Jacoby Brissett from the Texans game on that Thursday night. Sort of the same motion, I think, and especially you got Shaq Mason coming out and making a heck of a block here to get him going.
Yeah, it is. It's the same play. If it looks familiar, it's because you probably you saw it before in 2016, a similar area on the field. And so we block down here on the tackle. Shaq pulls around and gets the end man on the line of scrimmage. And this is Izzo down here at the bottom, running off and ultimately blocking the corner. And Cam just, gets in a foot race there to the end zone. This is Baker, coming. Baker actually makes a pretty good play on this. He, he has the halfback in coverage, so he starts to take him, but recognized the play. Andrews gets just enough on him to slow him down, and then it's a foot race here between Cam and Baker to the goal line. Good memory, Scott.
Receivers blocking downfield just like that back in 2016. All right, Coach, good stuff there. Everybody sit tight. Coach will be back later in the show as we break down the Bellustrator, take some look at Seattle. More Patriots All Access right after this.
Coming up on All Access.
Fresh off his first game back in a year, we talk with Patriots captain David Andrews.
Just us as an offensive lineman, we have a really special bond.
You're watching Patriots All Access.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New England Patriots. By the Dan O'Brien Auto Group. Come in to any Dan O'Brien Auto Group store today and get your awesome protection plan, keeping it awesome. And by Bank of America, official bank of the New England Patriots.
I'm Lauren Spencer with your Patriots Social Media Minute heading into Week 2. Gillette Stadium looked a little different without fans in the stands last Sunday, but members of Patriots fan clubs worldwide still tuned in from home.
Let's go!
Cam Newton made his New England debut last week, and after his first touchdown as a Patriot, he paid tribute to the Black Panthers' Chadwick Boseman, who passed away last month, with the iconic Wakanda Forever salute. In just a few months in Foxborough, Cam has also curated a unique list of nicknames for many of his teammates. He rattled them off in an interview on WEEI this week, and Nesson's Zach Cox compiled the list on Twitter. The real question is, which McCourty twin is twin number 1, and which is twin number 2? Sunday's return to football was special for a lot of reasons, but it held an even greater meaning for David Andrews. At this time last year, David was unsure if he would ever play football again after experiencing blood clots in his lungs. But after Cam Newton's second touchdown on Sunday, he handed the ball to David and said, "You gotta spike it."
God's been good to this kid from Georgia, and this game's been really good to me, just extremely thankful.
Make sure to follow along on @Patriots as we bring you all the live coverage from Seattle on Sunday Night Football. We'll be back next week with another Patriots Social Media Minute.
Welcome back to All Access presented by GEICO. Home game in the books? Check. Dan Roach tells us that it will be a different normal when New England takes to the trail this weekend.
Fitzpatrick to throw to the end zone, intercepted by J.C. Jackson.
With a season-opening win in the books at Gillette Stadium, the Patriots now take to the road for the first time in 2020.
We have been very intentional about meeting as leadership council with coach. Travel has been, I think, priority number 1 on the hit list.
We know that safety has been the number 1 priority at Gillette Stadium with numerous protocols in place. Now the team heads cross-country to Seattle to meet the Seahawks Sunday night.
It's still a work trip, so even though we have been allotted to leave for working purposes, I think the NFL as well as the Patriots have done such a great job with protecting us.
Meanwhile, the Belichick family suffered a personal loss this week as Bill lost his mom, Jeanette, at the age of 98. She passed away from natural causes.
She was a very special person. I loved going to their house and spending time with her and my grandpa before he passed, and she'll be missed. And yeah, now she's up in heaven with my grandpa, so.
As for the game Sunday, one major ingredient missing will be Seattle's 12th man, as in no fans in the stands.
I've been there where you're sitting on the sideline and you're trying to talk to your teammates about the last series and you're just screaming at one another, playing in front of that type of energy. That's what it's all about. That's what you dream about.
It'll be interesting to see how not having that 12th man will affect the Seahawks Sunday night. They've won 11 straight home openers, 16 of their last 17. For Patriots All Access, I'm Dan Roach.
All right, Rochi, thank you very much for joining me now. It's Patriots Center David Andrews. And David, it's good to see you, my friend. How great was it for you to be back on the football field playing against someone else other than yourselves?
Yeah, it
was super fun to get out there and compete. And obviously thought we played well. With a lot to build on and improve on. But it was great to get back out there. I think we, as a team, we were really itching, to go compete and play a game.
The running game was a real boost. You guys racked up 217 yards on the ground. As an offensive lineman, how happy does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's something we really put an emphasis on in this training camp. And, when you put a lot of hard work in like we have, grinded through some of these days, the bumps, bruises, setbacks with technique that we were struggling with, whatever, to go out there and put it all together, it was real special and something we're going to have to build on and try to do it every week.
I want to talk about a special moment. After Cam scored, he handed you the football and you spiked it. Were you surprised to get it, and how special was that for you?
Yeah, Shaq and Joe were kind of poking fun at me because he handed it to me and I said, really? But that was awesome. And then, kind of hear what he said after the game really shows what kind of teammate and person he is. So it's been super fun. It's been fun getting to know him, work with him, and it was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, take me in the locker room after the game where you got the bear hug and Isaiah Wynn picked you up. And how special was that? I mean, your teammates coming to your side?
Yeah. Obviously knew Isaiah from Georgia and kind of known him for a long time. And I think just us as an offensive lineman, we have a really special bond. We all know, moments are fleeting. This business how it is. You don't know how long you get to play and compete with certain guys. So take full advantage of it. We're a close-knit group. We really enjoy each other.
All right, Captain. Good luck on Sunday.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. David Andrews, our guest. We'll be back with more Patriots All Access right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back to Patriots All Access. Time to talk to Bill Belichick now, head coach of the New England Patriots. And, Coach, big Week 1 win for you guys. From an operational standpoint, about as smooth as it could have gone for you. Fair to say?
Yeah, it went pretty well, Scott. The whole process of, the week. It was good to be back out on the field, good to be competing, and I thought our players and coaches, handled it well. Our staff did a great job of, smoothing everything out throughout the course of the weekend and on game day, and, in the locker room, on the field, and so forth. So, from that standpoint, I think everybody's really able to focus on their jobs and for the first game, and most importantly, come away with a win. So, in a division game. So that's, those are some positive things there.
Speaking of that atmosphere, how odd was it without fans out there?
Yeah, well, it was basically like practice. And so there was some, energy from the sideline. We had to bring our own energy and our own enthusiasm throughout the course of the game, and it's kind of like the way it is on the road anyway. But I thought that the team did a good job responding to that, and most importantly, all we can do is perform our jobs and try to do well and outcompete our opponents. So the rest of whatever it is out of our control. So we can't try not to spend too much time worrying about that, and just try to concentrate on what we have to do.
Your first road trip coming up this week. I know the team's leaving for Seattle on Friday. You haven't had a road trip this year. A lot of other things that you have to consider, traveling the team on the road in the new normal?
Right. Yes, there's certainly some policies and regulations that we'll be in compliance with, and some other logistical and operational, challenges. But I expect things to go as smoothly as they possibly can, given some of the restrictions that we have, and the players and coaches, just have to adjust to some things that we're not able to do that we've done in the past. But we all understand the reasons, and again, we'll try to focus on what we can control and not worry about what we can't control.
All right, you look at a lot of people and the way they talk about the National Football League. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes gets a lot of attention. Lamar Jackson, MVP from last year. Russ Wilson had one heck of a day in Week 1. And not to say he flies under the radar, or you would ever put him under the radar. You're going to face a pretty good quarterback this week, right?
One of the top players in the league, no question about it. I mean, he's got to be in the top, 3 or 4 players in the National Football League. His consistency, his ability to just do everything. He doesn't miss any games. He's always out there. He's very tough. He's a great athlete. He can run. He can extend plays. He's a tremendous passer. He's probably the best deep ball thrower in the league. I'd put him up there with anybody. We got a couple clips of that later on in the show, and
Sure.
it's a big problem for us, no question. That'll be a huge challenge for us this week.
Coach will be back later in the show. As he said, we have his breakdown of the big win over Miami, and of course, Russ Wilson and the Bellustrator. More Patriots All Access will return right after this.
Coming up on All Access.
Meet one of the most traveled and most respected Patriots players.
There's one pass I remember from that game was to Greg Lewis. That was kind of like the moment where okay, I can hang in this league.
You're watching Patriots All Access.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New England Patriots. By the Dan O'Brien Auto Group. Come in to any Dan O'Brien Auto Group store today and get your awesome protection plan, keeping it awesome. And by Bank of America, official bank of the New England Patriots.
Here are some interesting facts involving Patriots quarterback Brian Hoyer. As an 11-year-old boy, Hoyer was in the stands for Bill Belichick's final game as the Cleveland Browns head coach. Speaking of Cleveland, Hoyer is the last starting quarterback to lead the Browns to a winning record, going 7-6 in 2014. And Hoyer sets an NFL record in Chicago in 2016 with a 0.0 interception percentage with a minimum of 150 pass attempts.
Welcome back to All Access presented by GEICO. If I told you there was one Patriot that has had 3 separate tours of duty with the team, would Brian Hoyer's name come to mind? Well, it should. The Patriots are one of 8 teams that Hoyer has suited up for, all part of a fairly remarkable 12-year NFL career. In part 1 of our Do Your Life series, presented by Putnam, we profile the Patriots quarterback.
Hoyer in the end zone. Going back to the old school.
Are you ready for some NFL draft? It's coming up next.
I mean, I think everybody expects to get drafted. But based on the team meetings I had and what people were telling my agent, I mean, trust me, I wouldn't have had cameras at my house if I didn't think it was going to happen. I have not planned for this. I have not planned for not being able to continue my football career. It's getting real. This may not work out. In the end, it's probably better I didn't get drafted because I got to choose to come to New England. I remember my agent telling me, he's like, I think you should go to New England. And I'm thinking well, Tom Brady's there, obviously.
Touchdown, Tom Brady!
And I was like, I think you're crazy. And he goes, just trust me. I know, Bill, and I know Nick Caserio. I know these guys, and they really want you to come up there. I know for a fact that had I been drafted to some other team, I probably wouldn't have had as long of a career as I've had, because I just learned so much between, obviously from Bill, but from sitting in a room with Tom day in, day out.
Good evening, everyone, on a beautiful night for football in New England tonight. They meet a longtime rival, the New York Giants, in this final preseason game.
So it was me, Tom, Andrew Walter, And Tom obviously wasn't playing. It was going to be me and Andrew Walter playing, and we do these call sheet meetings with the offensive coordinator, and it's me and Andrew, and he was going to start. And he's going over and he's kind of getting them wrong. Bill O'Brien like looks at him, his face gets bright red. He's like, Hoyer, you're playing the whole game tonight. Get ready to go. And he just got up and walked out. I hadn't even gone over one single play on the call sheet. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm playing. They just beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl 2 years before that. And it's the same guys. It's like Justin Tuck and Osi Umenyiora.
He's kind of done this preseason, and now the big rush comes again as Justin Tuck.
And I'll never forget, like on the first drive of the game, and the dude came free and just hit me in the back.
Hoyer, hard from behind, coming out on blitz from the outside.
And I came over to the sidelines and they're like, great job not fumbling on that one. I'm like, that's good. Like, that's like a good play. You know, once they took those guys out and it was like kind of like the second guys versus the second guys, it became a little more fair. There's one pass I remember from that game was to Greg Lewis, who I think he's a receiver coach now in Philadelphia.
There he goes, nice. Man, what a hit put on it.
That was kind of like the moment where like, okay, like I can hang in this league.
On Friday, the Patriots cut 22 players, including 12 veterans.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. I kind of prepped my wife. I said, look, I don't know how this is going to go. And I remember coming home and I was like, all right, I got released. And she's like, well, what does that mean? And I said, I really don't know. And I was like, but I think I'm gonna go to Home Depot and buy some moving boxes. I remember sitting there watching that first game of that year.
Touchdown to Rob Gronkowski.
And I was like, you know what, I can't stay here. I don't wanna be driving around Foxborough. I don't wanna, so we went back and we moved in with my in-laws. I think just seeing his drive, there's a reason he's the greatest of all time. When I left New England and finally had a chance to play, I just tried to copy what he did. Two different players, two different skill sets, but his preparation, the way he built up his teammates, the way that he held people accountable.
The best there ever is, man. Go out there and have fun, all right? Let's go.
One, I think of being thankful that they finally gave me an opportunity to get back in the league. My first NFL start. At that point, I didn't even know enough of the offense. I basically remember going to the offense corner and be like, look, I know these like 15 plays, and I'm gonna try to throw to Larry Fitzgerald. Playing for the team we grew up rooting for is the dream. Like, you know, I remember wearing a Bernie Kosar jersey in the backyard. Like, now I'm actually gonna be wearing the real jersey. And then unfortunately, my third week, we were playing Thursday Night Football and I tear my ACL, so that kind of cut that dream short for that year. It was a chance to reunite with someone who I had been with before in Bill O'Brien. The greatest memory about that year was just the excitement of it all. To get a chance to say that I was a starting quarterback on a team that went to the playoffs, that was huge. I had learned a lot from playing in Cleveland. I had learned a lot from playing in Houston. And now I was in a system that I felt really comfortable with. And once again, here it is where I think things are going well. And another Thursday night game, and I fracture my forearm. I think we have a chance to be a pretty good team. We went out and played our first game against Carolina, and it just didn't go well. Every game after that, I think we lost on either the last possession of the game or in overtime. But at that point, we were 0-5. Ultimately, I think that kind of falls back on the quarterback. I think Jacoby Brissett was my favorite memory about going to Indianapolis. And I always tell this story about the first time I met Matt Castle was my first start for the Browns, and he was the backup in Minnesota. And we kind of all have this like bond of being Tom Brady's backup. And we all feel like we know each other before we've even met each other because we've all sat in that room with him.
September 16th, 1984, Seattle came to Foxborough to take on the Patriots, and by the second quarter had built a 23-0 lead. New England came roaring back to score 38 unanswered points, including 2 touchdown passes from Tony Eason to beat Seattle 38-23. It is the second largest deficit overcome in regular season franchise history.
It's time now for our opponent spotlight, brought to you by GEICO. I'm Megan O'Brien. Let's welcome on the play-by-play man from the Seattle Seahawks, Steve Rabel. Steve, thanks so much for joining us. If we learned anything about Seattle last week, it's that they're a pass-first team. Now we know New England has some depth in the secondary, but what matchup in the secondary are you looking forward to seeing most on Sunday?
We like our weapons. We like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett downfield. Greg Olsen, a former teammate of Cam Newton at Carolina, has just been heaven sent. He is terrific. So I like our chances downfield. You got a great secondary, but you got young linebackers in there, obviously. Some of our best chances are going to be those short to intermediate routes where you're expecting linebackers to get into their drop zones. We've got some tight ends who can make some catches. We got good running backs out of the backfield. Then you start to draw that kind of coverage up and look to throw behind it.
Now, we only saw Newton primarily run the ball in week 1 against Miami, but how can the Seahawks prepare for Newton the passer?
I'm expecting to see just exactly what the Patriots always do. Belichick is going to pick somebody out on our offense to say, we got to take him away. And then you're going to spread the ball on your offensive side of things. You're going to try to keep us off balance. And I expect it to be the kind of game it always is, a terrific, hard-fought, smart game between two teams that know each other fairly well.
Certainly a different team, but we know when the Patriots face off against the Seahawks, it's going to be a great game, and Sunday Night Football for that matter. Thank you so much, Steve, for your time.
Megan, my pleasure. Thanks.
Time now for the Bellastrator. We've got a quick look at the Seattle Seahawks. Coach has one of their good receivers drawn up right here and got their hands full with him this week. What do you have, Coach?
Well, this is a really interesting play, a big play that Seattle had against Atlanta. So on 3rd down and 2, they ran a toss play and got tackled for a loss. So now it's 4th down and 3, and they very quickly go to the ball and get lined up. You could see the umpire just backing out here late. So it's it looked like a designed, sequence of plays they had there. So now it's 4th and 3, and on 4th and 3, kind of looking to pick up the first down here. But in this case, not for Seattle. They see a low safety and get the matchup back here one-on-one with Metcalf, and Wilson steps up and delivers a perfect throw right on the money. And as I said earlier, there's nobody that throws the deep ball better than Wilson. I mean, he throws everything good. And he's a great athlete back there. He's a great competitor. I mean, he's a tremendous football player. But these kind of throws are just so common for him to make. Yeah, and this is another way that Russell can kill you is with the triple option. So you don't see the triple option a lot because there's usually just one back in the backfield, but sometimes they line up 2 backs in the backfield. Teams do that, or they motion a receiver in the backfield like they're doing here. So here's the dive play is the first part of it. So the dive, that's option number 1. Then the quarterback keeps the ball, that's option number 2. And then a pitch player, whether it's a motion guy or somebody lined up in the backfield, would be option number 3. So in this case, on the dive, defensive end, takes away the dive. He's got that. So Wilson pulls the ball. All right, and now it's really a 2-on-1 situation on the defensive back that's coming over to cover the receiver. So Wilson's going to option this guy coming over, and either if he takes the receiver, Wilson will keep it, and if he takes Wilson, then Wilson will pitch it to the trailing receiver. So again, he's run this play 1,000 times. He really knows what he's doing here. And you got one guy trying to defend 2, and Wilson's going to make the right decision on that every single time. So very, very good offensive football team led by, probably as good a quarterback as there is in the league.
All right, I know you got your hands full this week. Hey, there was a record that we're not letting go under the radar that happened this week. 46 years, National Football League for you. Congratulations, Coach. And here's to another 46 if you stick around that long.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Probably feels like the Colts, just like yesterday, down in Baltimore eating some blue crabs, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Coach, good luck against Seattle. We'll talk to you next week. There's your Bellastrator. More Patriots All Access will return right after this.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New England Patriots. And by Putnam Investments. Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots. Proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access, presented by GEICO. Before we even get started with our panel here, I just want to say our thoughts and prayers go out to Bill Belichick with the passing of his mom. Obviously, this program is previously recorded, and Bill took the time to sit down with us anyway, and our condolences certainly go out to him and his family. Joining me now is Mike Reese and Paul Perillo, and let's talk about Game 1 and how Game 1 unfolded, because I want to say this team came out prepared, and we expected them to be prepared, but they looked good.
Yeah, I agree, and that was really in all areas. And I do think that, we'll talk about the game plan offensively and stuff like that, but one of the things that really struck me, Steve, was in terms of preparation, the amount of guys that played in this game on both sides, especially defensively. A lot of defensive backs. Mike, I think 11 defensive backs were active for this game. They all played. They all had roles, and there didn't really seem to be any breakdowns. There were no guys running off the field late, no, obvious blown assignments. Right. I'm sure not everything was perfect, but you look around the league, you see all the procedural penalties that we, in various games. Didn't really see much of that, if any at all, with New England. So, yes, Steve, I expected them to be prepared, but it's still impressive when you see it.
And a credit to Bill Belichick and his coaching staff and the players, because this was anything but a normal offseason. So to put forth that performance in the opener, well, Paul said not perfect, certainly a feather in their cap.
I want to give credit to Josh McDaniels, because I thought Josh McDaniels put together a really good game plan for Cam Newton. Agree with that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And you did see some things that I think, is probably going to be the new normal, for that offense. You saw a lot of Cam Newton running the ball, design runs with him, some option reads as well. But I do think what I was most impressed with, in terms of Josh, was that first drive of the second half where it kind of changed. They flipped the script a little bit. They set him up the whole first half, and then there's a lot of hard play action. Really worked well, got Edelman involved in the offense, and I thought it got Cam Newton really comfortable. And that was a big touchdown drive.
I agree with what you both said, and I was pretty happy after the game, just because if you think back to what we talked about last week on the show and the impact of Cam and how this was going to be a little bit different, we actually got one right for the first time, right, in a long time.
And Steve, Mike and Paul like to congratulate themselves. I'm just going to say.
No, but getting strained from patting ourselves on the back. No, but I think we saw the impact of Cam, really, is the point I'm trying to make, and it's exciting new beginning here for the Patriots.
Well, let me play off that just for a second. Will the Patriots have to continue to play this way going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't know if they have to play like this, but I will say that they can't rely on playing like this every week. And it's not just because of the durability factors with Cam Newton. Yes, I think running your quarterback 15 times and taking that kind of punishment is probably not wise, but more likely, Mike, I think teams will figure that out a little bit and do a better job than Miami did. And you would talk about preparation and how impressed we were with Bill Belichick. I didn't really think Brian Flores had the Dolphins ready for Cam Newton, the runner, as much as probably they should be. So what happens now moving forward when teams start to be more prepared? They need another way.
And I'll look at it this way. They're going to have to do more in the passing game. Like, you can't have your number 2 receiver, Damiere Byrd, play 55 snaps and not be targeted and expect like that's going to go over the course of the season. You're going to need N'Keal Harry to be stronger with the ball when he's by the goal line. So I think in terms of where they need to play differently, like they're going to need to get more out of the passing game going forward.
Prediction time. They got to travel out west.
This is not going to be easy. I do think they get a little bit of a break, right? It's not that raucous, Seattle crowd that we're used to, but it is one of the, the longer trips the Patriots will take, and it's not going to be easy out there. And, Mike, you brought up the generosity of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't think you can expect that from Russell Wilson. I think they'll put some points on the board and make the Patriots play from behind. I think that's a tough way to play. I think Seattle gets this one 27-16.
The last 3 times they've met, unbelievable games. So my first prediction is we're going to have a great game, right? And they're saying out in Seattle, should they let Russ cook? That's sort of the terminology they're using, because they're becoming a throwing offense a little bit. So big test. I got to give it to Seattle out of respect to Russell Wilson. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league that maybe doesn't get the publicity that others do. So I'll say Seahawks 20, Patriots 17.
All right, guys. Great job as usual. Social distancing as usual. That'll do it for this week's show of Patriots All Access. For Mike Reese and Paul Perillo, I'm Steve Burton. Have a great week, everybody. See you later.